I tried to tell your father we needed to pay those drug dealers to leave us alone. I got to know that you understand that I tried to tell him not to talk to the police, that those kids were bad news.
So one of the biggest unanswered questions in the Power universe is what really happens to Ghost's father, Curtis St. Patrick. So we know Curtis was killed when Ghost was young, and we know his death played a major role in shaping who James St. Patrick eventually became. One theory has been debated by fans for years. Did Kanan and Breeze actually kill Ghost's father? And honestly, this theory is not completely without merit, because over the years, the creator of the Power universe, Courtney Kemp, she's fueled some speculation around Breeze and Kanan possibly being involved with the death of Ghost's father. So with Power Origins on the way, we're finally going to get the long-awaited answer to that question that fans have been talking about for years. But after looking at everything we know from the original Power, I think this theory has some major problems that really can't be solved by a simple retcon. Because while Kanan and Breeze were definitely involved in the streets with Ghost during this time period, I really don't think either one of them had anything to do with the death of Curtis St. Patrick. But let me break it down to y'all. So let's start with Kanan, because out of everyone involved, Kanan is the person that fans point to the most when talking about who killed Ghost Pops. And I could definitely understand why. Kanan was Ghost's mentor, he introduced him to the game, he was definitely a major influence on Ghost becoming the person that he eventually became in the original Power. But there's one major problem with the idea that Kanan killed Ghost Pops. Ghost never really talked about him that way in the original Power. Because in the show that we saw, there were multiple occasions where Ghost told somebody that Kanan was like a brother to him. He explained that Kanan was there for him after his pops died. He even says that he loved Kanan.
When my pops died, your dad was there for me, man. I looked up to Kanan. Hell, I needed him. At one point in my life, I loved your pops very much.
Those are not the words that somebody uses to describe somebody who played a major role in murdering their father, especially someone as calculated as Ghost. Because we all know Ghost held grudges, he was grimy, he was patient, he spent a long time plotting against people who wronged him. All you gotta do is look at what Ghost did to Kanan. Ghost manipulated the situation and sent Kanan to prison, right? But notice something real important. Ghost never frames it as revenge for his father. He never says, this is the man who killed my dad, so that's why I sent him to prison. He did it because he wanted to take over the business and Kanan was a threat to that. And honestly, if Kanan had anything to do with Curtis St. Patrick's death, why would Ghost go through all the trouble of setting him up? Why don't he just kill him or have him killed in prison? Ghost had plenty of opportunities. That's why I really don't think Kanan being responsible makes sense. Now, Breeze is definitely a different conversation because unlike Kanan, there's still a whole lot we don't really know about him. Other than the fact that he snaps and Pop's nephew and that DEFCON is supposedly his father, there's still a whole lot of mystery surrounding his character, especially when it comes to his dynamic with Ghost and Tommy in their younger years. We know he was extremely important to Ghost and Tommy, we know he was a mentor figure, we know that Ghost eventually killed him with Tommy's help, but did Breeze kill Curtis St. Patrick? Possible, but I definitely think it's unlikely. And the biggest reason is once again Ghost's own words. Ghost explains that he gave Breeze a chance to change his mind, but when Breeze refused, he forced Ghost to make a decision. But once again, just like with Kanan, Ghost described Breeze someone that he considered to be family. He said he loved him. He even went as far to call Breeze a brother.
I loved Breeze. He was a brother to me. He was family to me. I killed Breeze because he got in the way of my future. What Kanan didn't know, what Kanan couldn't tell you, is that I gave Breeze one more chance. I asked him to change his mind. He didn't. So he forced my hand.
If Breeze had directly killed Curtis St. Patrick, that would completely change the way that Ghost viewed him. So that would make Ghost's relationship with Breeze look and sound completely different. And that brings us back to our next conundrum. So if Breeze and Kanan did not kill Curtis St. Patrick, then who did? And without a doubt, the answer is definitely connected to the streets in some way. So in the original Power, Uncle Gabe talks about Curtis St. Patrick constantly calling the police on those drug dealers who were trying to extort his bar. And Curtis was a man who wanted nothing to do with that criminal lifestyle, as evidenced by him trying to convince his son James to get out of the streets. And Courtney Kemp previously suggested that those drug dealers could possibly have been connected to Kanan and Breeze. But even if that's true, that doesn't necessarily mean Kanan or Breeze personally killed Curtis. The more likely explanation is that Curtis became a target because of the enemies surrounding Ghost's early street life. Cause we all know Ghost was eventually pulled into the game through Kanan and Breeze, and once he entered that world, of course he created enemies. So Ghost Pops could have simply become collateral damage from the environment that Ghost was being introduced to. And honestly, that's a story that would make much more sense of a Ghost character. And for those dedicated Power fans, that scenario should sound very familiar. Young kid enters the drug game, makes an enemy, and as a result a family member dies. That sounds just like what happened with Tariq and Raina in season 4 of the original Power. And to bring it back to Ghost, one of the biggest tragedies of his life would be that his father was right. Curtis warned him about the streets, he warned him about the danger that came with that lifestyle, but Ghost didn't listen. And just like we saw play out with Tariq, the same world that Ghost entered ended up taking away a person that was trying to protect him from it. So did Kanan and Breeze kill Ghost's father? I don't think so. Could Power Origins reveal something different? Absolutely. The Power universe has definitely retconned things before, and there's always a chance that new information could change how we view the past. But based on everything we know from the original Power, it would be a very big contradiction, because Ghost described Kanan and Breeze as brothers. He described them as people he loved, not as the people who helped murder his father. If anything, I think Origins is more likely to show that Kanan and Breeze in some way, shape, or form helped Ghost get revenge for Curtis's death. And whether it be coincidental or an intentional act of manipulation on Kanan and Breeze's part, that could be the turning point that solidifies Ghost's stance in the drug game. Because now, instead of being pulled in two different directions with Kanan and Breeze on one side and his father on the other, he'd have no choice but to stay with Kanan and Breeze in the streets. And honestly, that storyline could be even more interesting and nuanced than any other theory that fans have, because it would show the exact moment that Ghost started down the path that eventually turned him into the man that we knew in OG Power. But what do you guys think? Do y'all think Kanan and Breeze killed Curtis St. Patrick? Or do y'all feel like Ghost's father was just another victim of the street life that Ghost eventually became trapped in? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe. I got more on the way for y'all soon.